All right, so listen, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, all right? Listen, we all know that if we knew what was put in some of the foods and drinks that we eat, that we consume, we put in our body, we pay attention a little bit more, right? That's it. Maybe not completely cut it out, but you pay attention a little more. That's the stage I'm on, all right? So we gonna watch this together, all right? This video here is you'll never drink this again knowing how it's made. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button, join the fam. All right, here we go.
There are generally no hidden ingredients or weird processes associated with your average fruit or vegetable. You bite into a banana and you know it's a banana. But manufactured and processed foods are different, and some have pretty shocking ingredients and processes. From Pringles to red food, here are 20 foods you'll never buy again after knowing how they're made.
Here we go.
Number 20. Coca-Cola. There are a few beverages as thirst-quenching on a hot summer's day than a crisp, refreshing bottle of Coca-Cola. But there...
And mind you, I'm here in Atlanta right next to the Coca-Cola factory.
There's possibly a chance you'll never drink this again knowing how it's made, what it's made of, and how it interacts with your body. No one except a select few Coca-Cola staff members knows exactly what the Coca-Cola formula is, since it's a heavily guarded trade secret. Although we...
Now mind you, right there. Hold on, I'm gonna go back to it.
Exactly what the Coca-Cola formula is.
Mind you, right? Now, look at me, ex-truck driver. I'm not driving anymore. I used to drive trucks, and I used to drive for Coca-Cola, right? And I used to do the hazmat loads. That's what got me, right? All of the stuff that has to be placarded as flammable, containing different contents inside of it. The truck got to be placarded all four sides. I'm hauling that stuff to different Coca-Cola warehouses, bro, so they could use. That messed me up mentally. Like, huh? So just think about that in some of these containers, what they showing right here. It's type of stuff I was hauling around.
Since it's a heavily guarded trade secret. Although we do know that it contains concentrate, cocoa leaf, without the cocaine now, of course, cola nut, flavoring, acid, and sugar. Somehow, all these ingredients and the secret formula come together and create a great thirst.
See, look there. See the placards on there? So I'm able to quickly identify them, bro. Used to transport this stuff.
Quenching beverage that you can't help but love when the sun's beating down. But it's not all hydration and happiness after consuming Coca-Cola. Some experts believe that it does some pretty weird things to your body. We all know soda is bad for us, so it's probably not surprising to learn that a regular can of Coca-Cola contains about 39 grams of sugar. Studies have shown that sugar-sweetened beverages can be linked to the onset of type 2 diabetes, which means that you might be at an increased risk if you consume such drinks often. Coca-Cola and other similar beverages might also make you gain weight due to the calories and sugar, and you might even experience surface stains on your teeth and dental erosion. It's a nice treat, but this drink is certainly not something you should consume every day. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button
And see, man, I've been like cut back on those sodas, bro. It'll help, trust.
when you're sleeping. Number 19. Chewing gum. Many people love chewing gum. It tastes nice, sometimes freshens your breath, and gives your mouth something to do. But there's so much you probably don't know about chewing gum that might have you questioning just how much you chew it. First of all, you're most likely chewing a secretion from sheep's wool. Imagine chewing on wool. My mouth tingles just thinking about it. Chewing gum contains a waxy secretion from the sebaceous glands of sheep, known as lanolin. On the sheep, this makes their wool...
Somebody's watching this and chewing gum right now. My bad, I'm not laughing at you. I just can see your face visually as your mouth opens and you spit the gum out.
Waterproof, but in chewing gum, it gives it that chewiness that we love. There are also many other ingredients often included in the gum base, such as glycerol esters from resin and gum resin, polyethylene, and polyvinyl acetate. Then there are the ingredients that make gum soft, vegetable oil, and glycerin. And of course, the sweeteners, like sucralose, xylitol, and sorbitol. Some gums are manufactured for taste, while others are created with medical functions, like giving up smoking, offering nutrition, and increasing alertness. Chewing gum definitely isn't one of the most harmful things you can put in your mouth, but there are some hazards associated with it. It can trigger temporomandibular joint disorder and even cause gastrointestinal problems. You might also experience diarrhea with chewing gum if you're sensitive to artificial sweeteners.
Wow.
Number 18. Nutella.
Never really
Nutella
got into the
contains
whole
sugar,
Nutella
modified
wave.
palm oil, vanillin, cocoa, lecithin, skimmed milk powder, hazelnuts, and whey powder. None of these really sound all that nutritious, and yet Nutella used to be advertised as part of a nutritious breakfast. In reality, it's a sweet treat that contains 70% saturated fat and processed sugar by weight. Just 2 tablespoons of Nutella contains 200 calories, 99 of which come from 11 grams of fat and 80 from 21 grams of sugar. According to an online blog, the hazelnut spread's creator, Ferrero, actually came under fire in the United States. They were sued in a class action lawsuit for false advertising, leading people to believe it had health benefits and was nutritional. In the lawsuit, they were sued for health washing and had to pay $3 million to customers named in the lawsuit. The lawsuit also came with a requirement for Ferrero to change their advertising and labeling to avoid making consumers think it was a healthy breakfast staple. There's no denying that having Nutella on toast is a delicious snack, but it is by no means an overly healthy one. You're probably setting yourself up for a sugar rush, followed by a crash.
Wow.
Number 17. Pringles. Look, I'll be the first to admit, I love eating potato chips.
I'll be the second. That's my, yeah, that's my weakness.
They're so Moorish and the perfect snack to enjoy on the sofa while you watch your favorite TV show. But I'll also be the first to admit that I know they're unhealthy. What I didn't know, though, was just how unhealthy they are, especially Pringles.
See them cheesums over there? Another one of my weaknesses, bro. I used to murder them as a kid in school. What?
Pringles. According to online resources, the Pringles company wanted to avoid taxes against luxury foods in the UK. So they argued that the potato content of their chips was so low that they technically weren't even potato chips. I'm sorry, pardon? That's right. The potato chips you're eating from a can have the merest hint of our starchy friend. Pringles actually contain rice, wheat, corn, and potato flakes in a weird kind of slurry mixture, which is then pressed into a shape, rolled out into a thin sheet, and cut into shapes. It then moves forward on a conveyor belt and is pressed into molds to ensure they all stack neatly in those frustrating cans you get your hands stuck in. The molds then move through boiling oil before being sprayed with powdered flavors. This doesn't sound all that great, to be fair, but could the worst be yet to come? Probably. According to online sources, a cancer-causing chemical called acrylamide is created when carb-rich foods like potatoes are cooked at high temperatures. It can be found in many everyday things like water. Still, an analysis by Environmental Law Foundation found that all potato chip products they tested exceeded legal limits by 39 times and up to 910 times.
What's she
Number
spraying?
16. Instant noodles. Let's face it, most of us have reached into our pantry at one time or another for a packet of instant noodles. They're easy to cook, take minimal preparation, and can be pretty delicious. But if you knew how they were made and what they contained, you might be having them less often. Instant noodles are designed to have a long shelf life, so it doesn't take a genius to work out that they are pretty processed. They also have very little nutritional content on their own, are typically high in fat, sodium, and calories, and often have extra bits and bobs like flavorings, additives, preservatives, and artificial colors. Some instant noodles also contain monosodium glutamate, also known as MSG, and tertiary butyl hydroquinone,
I think we all kind of understood when we were eating noodles, except when you were younger. But as you got older, you knew you was eating pretty much a packet of salt and probably some more stuff that you shouldn't just be eating. You know what I mean? But for some of us, it was at a rough time where funds was low. So them noodles, hey, they had to get eaten. We was in survival mode.
Chemical preservative from the petroleum industry. Recent studies haven't been painting a super great picture of instant noodles. One said that excessive consumption of instant noodles might trigger obesity and lead to other conditions like diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, and heart problems. Most instant noodles feature maida, which is wheat flour that has been milled, refined, and bleached. It's rich in flavor but extremely processed and has minimal to no nutritional value. Studies have also found that maida-based noodles can wreak havoc on our digestive health, and some remnants might even reach the appendix and trigger an infection. Number 15.
Dang.
Kazoo Martu. Imagine
even
a
know what
food
this
being
is.
so downright
Cheese?
disgusting and awful that it's actually illegal. That's the case with Kazoo Martu, also known as maggot cheese. This cheese comes from the Mediterranean island of Sardinia and has sheep milk and live insect larvae, also known as maggots. It comes from Pecorino, but this cheese is taken far beyond the traditional fermentation stage, all the way to decomposition.
this before.
The larvae of the cheese fly are deliberately put inside the cheese and break down the cheese fat. As a result, the cheese becomes soft and even has liquid seeping out of it. But that's not even the grossest part. After dining on all the cheese fat, the larvae are left inside the cheese, and people eat it with the maggots. In fact, some Sardinian people only think the cheese is unsafe once the maggots have died. Most people serve the cheese cut into thin strips and spread onto flatbread. They then eat it with a robust red wine. As you might have guessed, scientists and medical professionals advise against eating this cheese. They say it's possible for the larva to survive in your stomach acid.
They shouldn't even have to say that. We should just automatically know from looking at it and seeing stuff crawling in it.
Remain in the intestine and cause a condition called pseudomyosis. This is a parasitic infestation that can sometimes lead to sores, irritation, and other uncomfortable symptoms. The cheese has been outlawed, and offenders face expensive fines if they are caught selling it. However, some Sardinians make and sell Kazoo Martu on the black market. Number 14.
Finally.
Jelly beans. Jelly beans are a delicious but very sugary treat. They are bright, colorful, and very Moorish.
I never
But
liked jelly
you might not
beans.
let another one pass through your lips when you learn what makes them hard and shiny. Spoiler alert, it's poo. Okay, so it's less horrific than you think, and you might even give jelly bean makers points for sustainability and creativity. They're coated in something called shellac, which is a resin that the female lac bug secretes after she drinks tree sap. Lac bug
I don't care what you say. Now that I've heard that, I'll never eat another jelly bean again. Ever eat another jelly bean. And I didn't like them. I don't like them. But you can't say that. I can't say that I've never had one because I've had it to know that I didn't like it. Tried again later in life to see if I grew out of that. Didn't like it. Still didn't like it. But now, never.
bugs come from forests in India and Thailand, and they deposit their shellac onto the branches and twigs. People then come in and harvest it before processing it into flakes. Once it's in flake form, it's dissolved in ethanol and sprayed onto a wide range of products like hardwood flooring, fingernails, and, you guessed it, jelly beans. It's even often used to replace the natural wax found on apples, which is removed during the cleaning process. As shellac is an animal byproduct, jelly beans are not suitable for vegans, and you might see it listed on ingredient packaging as E904. Number 13. Cheese. We are a nation of cheese lovers, with the exclusion of maggoty cheese, of course, and all cheese is made with the same basic ingredient, milk and an enzyme. We've been eating cheese for at least 8,000 years, and it's thought to have come from Asia Minor to ancient Rome, with the Roman Empire going crazy with artisanal cheese making. They loved it. Making cheese is fairly complex. It requires milk, an enzyme for coagulation and to help it set, and a method for removing excess water. Once the basics are out of the way, the cheese can be aged, flavored, flavored and cut in many different ways. But the way we manufacture cheese is far less gross now than it used to be. Experts think that the origins of cheese probably came from the stomach of a sheep. Sheep were domesticated around 8000 BCE and were known to be desirable sources of milk, meat, and wool.
What?
However, their stomachs were also put to good use. Once removed from their bodies, people
I've heard plastic being in cheese and different things like that. I think, like I said, I was almost a little bit familiar with the whole maggot one that was before that. But I've never heard stomachs used. Like, this just keeps getting worse for cheese for me.
used them to transport fresh milk. But what people didn't know back then was that the stomach of a sheep contains rennin, which is an enzyme we use to make cheese. Over long distances, milk transported in sheep stomachs would curdle and turn into curds. Therefore, cheese curds might have been the first type of cheese we started eating. Number 12. Vanilla flavoring.
No.
If you've ever eaten a delicious vanilla-flavored treat, pay attention to the ingredients listed on the packaging. If it says natural flavoring and your treat was far more expensive than other vanilla-flavored goods, you might be eating beaver bum goop. After you've taken a break to vomit, I'll explain what I mean.
I'm
Beavers
still okay
secrete
with it.
a goop out of their butts called castorum, which is something they use to mark their territory.
Never mind.
Castorum is listed as an additive by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, which they describe as generally regarded as safe. And this beaver goop has been used in food and perfumes for at least 90 plus years.
Who keeps signing off on this stuff to be allowing it to be put on shelves? I don't understand.
If you were to stick your face in the butt of a beaver, you wouldn't smell something awful. Instead, you'd smell a musty, vanilla-like scent. You'd also spot a
Show that
brown,
for sure.
molasses-like slime. While most animals have quite gross-smelling anal secretions, the beaver's diet of bark and leaves makes their smell quite lovely. As you have to
I'll take your word
anesthetize
for it.
beavers to milk their anuses. All right, another vomit break. Only around 292 pounds are produced each year. So most vanilla-flavored products you purchase come from synthetic vanillin, a compound found in natural vanilla from wood pulp or guaiacol, a petroleum derivative. Number 11. Red Bull Energy Drink. We all know that energy drinks like Red Bull are a sometimes beverage, as in it's generally not good for you to consume them
lot of
often.
sugar.
But the sugar and caffeine content probably isn't why you would stop drinking Red Bull. It's likely more to do with the rumors about bull semen being one of the main ingredients. Now, before you spit out your drink, I'll
Wait,
dispel that
what?
rumor real quick. Red Bull doesn't
Wait,
contain
what?
bull semen, but I'll explain why people thought it did. Red Bull and many other energy drinks contain taurine. Taurine is a byproduct of sulfurous amino acids, and it was named after the Latin word taurus, which means bull or ox. Taurine used to be extracted from ox bile and bull semen. The human body uses taurine to reduce stress and control anxiety, since it's known to lower cortisol levels while improving endurance and performance. It's found in animal tissues, but we also have it in our own intestines. Knowing that it can also come from bull semen, people assumed it was in Red Bull, and a Texas company even claimed to have tested the drink and found bull sperm in it. But that's not true. The taurine in Red Bull is synthetically produced in laboratories.
So what?
Number 2.
I can't unhear that now. I can't unhear that now. Y'all already do. And the only time I would probably have it is with like a mixed drink. You know what I mean? I think, does Vegas Bombs have Red Bull in it? I don't know. I don't know. I know my other drink, I can't really think of it. Dog. I'll think of it. It'll come to me in a minute.
10. Red food. The next time you tuck into your favorite red snack, take a moment to ponder how the manufacturer managed to produce that red color. It's bugs. They used bugs. If you ever see any products listed with ingredients like natural red 4, cochineal extract, or carmine, you know your food contains a crushed up little bug. The bug is called the cochineal, and only the female ones are used to produce red coloring. It all began in the 1500s when Europeans started making their way into South America. They noticed that the Aztecs were producing beautiful dyed fabrics, and the colors stayed vibrant for a long time, so dried cochineal bugs became a hot commodity. These days, most cochineals we use for red coloring come from the Canary Islands and Peru. They are taken from prickly pear cacti, dried in the sun, crushed, and dunked in an acidic alcohol solution to make carminic acid. This pigment becomes the cochineal extract, and about 70,000 of the bugs are needed for just 1 pound of dye. Many manufacturers prefer using bugs for red dye because it doesn't have any known health risks, although it is an allergen and, of course, isn't vegan. The alternative would be a synthetic red dye, like red number 2 and red number 4, both of which often have more health risks and are byproducts of coal or petroleum. So it's your choice, bugs or coal. Number 9. Processed meat.
This is a
As
problem.
a nation, we love meat. We love sausages, hot dogs, salami, bacon, ham, smoked meat, dried meat, canned meat, beef jerky, the list goes on. But what all these meat types have in common is that they are all processed, which means they go through a curing, drying, canning, salting, and smoking process. Sure, most people love the occasional processed meat treat, but did you know that it's not all that good for you? Some studies have shown a consistent link between processed meat and chronic diseases. You might be more at risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, and bowel and stomach cancer. Though it's worth telling you that—
See, and you know the thing that makes me mad? Oh, and by the way, I thought of my drink. I was talking about Jaeger Bomb. Yeah, that was the one mixed with Red Bull. But anyway, what makes me mad about this is they'll tell us all this stuff and we'll get in our mind we want to eat healthy. But do you know the price of eating healthy these days? It's astronomical. So trust me, I feel you on that.
That if you eat processed meat often, you might be more likely to get such illnesses, but there currently isn't any evidence to suggest that processed meat causes them. You might also be more likely to have other bad habits if you eat lots of processed meat, and these bad habits, like smoking and excess alcohol consumption, might also contribute. According to current evidence, 3 chemicals have been linked to colorectal cancer, one that's found naturally in meat, and 2 others that develop or are added during their processing. These include heme, naturally found in red meat, nitrates and nitrites that are added to keep processed meat fresher for longer, and heterocyclic and polycyclic amines, which occur when meat is cooked at high temperatures. Number 8. Honey. We're often told how good honey is for us.
Right.
It's a natural sweetener, an anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, and an antibacterial agent. People even use it to treat burns, coughs, and wounds. But it could also make you very, very sick. There's something called mad honey poisoning, and it's an illness that can happen when you ingest honey containing granotoxins from plants from the Ericaceae family, like rhododendrons. Granotoxins are neurotoxins and can severely affect your muscles and nerves. If you get mad honey poisoning, you can experience dizziness, weakness, nausea, vomiting, hypersalivation, excess perspiration, and paresthesia. Some people even have low blood pressure and go into shock. The World Health Organization said you should not be giving honey to infants under 1 year old, and the risk of mad honey poisoning is definitely one of the reasons why. In saying that, the other reason is that honey can contain Clostridium botulinum spores, which can lead to botulism. Now, most people are not at risk of mad honey poisoning, especially if they buy honey from reliable sources. However, people living or traveling in the Black Sea region of Turkey are being told to take care, since poisoning has been reported in this area. Number 7. Gelatin. If you love yogurt, ice cream, marshmallows, candy, puddings, cakes, and other delicious sweet treats, you might be a little disturbed to learn about one of the main ingredients. It's gelatin, and it's made from a protein that manufacturers obtain by boiling down bones, ligaments, tendons, and skin from cows and pigs. Gelatin is see-through, flavorless, and colorless, and is brittle when dry and rubbery when wet. Knowing this information about gelatin is enough to make your stomach turn, even if the finished product is delicious. Gelatin is also used in products you can't eat, such as shampoo, cosmetics, and face masks. It's such a versatile product that about 620,000 tons of it were produced in 2019, with most of it coming from the meat and leather industries as a byproduct. Fortunately, you can avoid gelatin. You just have to give up all your favorite treats and opt for vegan alternatives. There's a product called Agar Agar that vegan product manufacturers use as a similar alternative. Rather than being made from body parts, it uses a type of seaweed. Number 6.
Now, I know at some point, y'all are like, man, what can we eat then? This is getting ridiculous. It don't matter what I try, something's going to take me out, so I might as well enjoy myself while I'm doing it. I know some people have that mindset. You know what I mean? My thing is just doing things in like moderation. You know what I mean? Maybe you ain't got to cut out or try to eventually cut out, but just monitor it and take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? That may be a better alternative. I don't know. But I get what you're saying and thinking right now.
Peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of those spreads that you either love or hate, and if you love it, get ready to hate it. Sure, there's plenty to love about peanut butter. The decent, high-quality stuff has plenty of niacin, thiamine, folate, magnesium, and polyphenols, but it also has naturally occurring aflatoxins, or mycotoxins. These come from the Aspergillus fungus family, and peanuts are particularly susceptible to the fungus. Our livers metabolize the toxins, and at high doses, they can actually become carcinogenic. In studies, high levels of aflatoxin in the blood were thought to be linked to stunted growth in children. And that's pretty bad, but that's not all there is to hate about peanut butter. There's also the rat hair. The FDA calls it a natural contaminant along with insect parts, but it's a horrific thought as you chow down on your peanut butter on toast.
See, now I'm mad at my school. Because remember in school, depending on how old you are right now, when we were in school, they make you sing the little song, Peanut Butter and Jelly. You had the peanut butter jelly songs and stuff like that that increased and intensified. And my folks would, hey, you was hungry, you come in, you make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you go back outside and play. Get your little juice box. That was a lunch or a snack or something like that. So, like, no, they got some explaining to do.
Some experts believe there could be as many as 30 insect pieces in 100 grams of peanut butter and 1 or more rodent hairs.
That's protein.
Most people aren't going to be affected by these
protein.
contaminants, at least not physically. But if you have asthma or an allergy, you might experience some irritation. Number 5. Marshmallows. Marshmallows are delicious, especially when stabbed onto a stick and placed over a roaring campfire. You can then bite through the crusty exterior and enjoy the delightful gooiness inside. And we all know that marshmallows aren't good for us. After all, they are mainly sugar. But sugar is not the only potential problem with marshmallows. So is how we prepare them. If you regularly eat burned marshmallows, whether you cook them on a campfire or over a gas cooker, you might experience health consequences in the future. Burned foods have compounds linked to severe health conditions like cancer, kidney problems, and diabetes. Any food you char, burn, barbecue, or smoke definitely tastes great, but you might be eating food with toxins in them, such as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. The longer you cook your food and the closer you place it to the heat source, the more of these toxins they might contain. Then there's the fact that marshmallows pretty much have no nutrients. They are primarily carbs and sugar. There are no huge amounts of vitamins and minerals, next to no protein and no fats or dietary fiber. Number 4. Sour candy. If you're a fan of sour candy, you might be curious about how manufacturers make the candy so sour. Some variants are so potent that you can't help but screw your eyes up and need a glass of water to give your tongue some much-needed relief. There are a number of different acids that go into the creation of sour candy. The most common is, of course, citric acid, which is naturally found in citrus fruits like grapefruit, lemons, and even some berry varieties. Citric acid is an antioxidant, and it's even been used to prevent kidney stones. But it's not the only acid present in sour candy. If you've ever had that super potent sour candy, like Warheads, you've likely experienced malic acid. It gives candy its intense flavor, but is also present naturally in our bodies and within Granny Smith apples, cherries, tomatoes, and apricots.
Oh my gosh, I ate so much. That's what I was trying to say. I ate so much of those as a kid.
Some sour candy manufacturers also use ascorbic acid, known as vitamin C.
Y'all can see me, right? Oh, okay. I thought camera had went out, my bad.
There's also fumaric acid, which some people say produces some of the most potent sourness, while also lasting longer. It's even naturally occurring in tomatoes, apples, carrots, and beans. Finally, tartaric acid. Tartaric acid is found naturally in grapes, tamarinds, bananas, and wine, and is used to make baking powder and cream of tartar. Number 3. Fugu. Fugu, also known as blowfish or pufferfish, is one of the deadliest sea creatures in the world. Most of us would stay well away from it knowing this, but some curious chefs clearly like to challenge and decided they'd devise a way to eat them and try not to kill themselves and their customers. Sometimes they succeed, and sometimes they don't. Dozens of people die from eating pufferfish each year. These fish are a delicacy in Japan and a select few other countries, but they are incredibly dangerous. They contain a potent neurotoxin called tetrodotoxin, and enough of it to kill over 30 adults. And that's after it's been filleted for consumption. Now, if you fillet it properly, there's no toxin and you live. But if you fillet it wrong, you die. You're playing a dangerous game just for a piece of fugu sushi. But not just anyone can prepare fugu for sale. You have to have a license, and there are only a select few people who hold such a license. Once the fish is killed, the chef cuts open the head to remove the brain and eyes, which are then placed on a tray marked non-edible. The chef will then remove the skin before cutting at the guts. The guts are typically the most poisonous part, including the ovaries, liver, and intestines. It's believed the poison within the body of a fugu is about 200 times more potent than cyanide. Number 2. Raw oysters. Raw oysters are a delicacy, and many people love visiting their...
Raw. See, and before they even get into it, I tried some raw oysters, right? When I worked at the fire department, we used to have at Christmas time at the end of every year, we would have an oyster roast, right? But a lot of them would love them raw, and they just eat them raw. I'm a steamed type of person. I've always eaten them steamed. So, but you know, you got everybody else trying them raw. So I'm like, all right, I'll try one. Almost, I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So this is going to make my argument the next time I go down there. If I go down there and kick it with them, this might be my argument for them.
Their local raw oyster bars for a chance to dine on this delicious treat. And yeah, before you say it, I know they're an acquired taste, and not everyone likes raw oysters. In fact, some people say it's like eating snot. But let's say you do like eating raw oysters. Would you stop eating them if you knew you might be at risk of serious illness? A bacteria called Vibrio is found naturally in coastal waters where oysters like to live. As oysters filter water while feeding, the bacteria can end up in their tissues. When you eat raw or undercooked oysters, that bacteria can make you sick. Some people experience diarrhea and vomiting, which can be awful enough, but some also develop serious problems like bloodstream infections and blistering skin lesions. And these can be so severe that people require limb amputations and intensive care. Up to 30% of infections are fatal. The best way to avoid getting sick from harmful bacteria is by cooking your oysters properly. Number 1.
I'm gonna keep eating them steamed.
Fishy beer. You might assume it's easy for vegans to know what they can eat, but it's not always obvious what contains animal byproducts and what doesn't. Beer, for example, includes hops, water, barley, malt, and yeast, but who would have thought it also contains fish swim bladders? Some of your favorite beer varieties might contain fish, and you didn't even know it. It's called isinglass, and it's a type of gelatin from the fish organ that both small and large breweries use. Apparently, beer brewers have been using swim bladders since the 19th century as a way to make beer bright, clear, and more attractive to people wishing to quench their thirst. Fortunately, many breweries are starting to step away from the practice. After all, there's no way to glamorize filtering beer through dead fish in your marketing materials. Some breweries are now steering away from fining agents like the fish altogether, and many are opting for vegetarian-friendly alternatives like derivatives of seaweed and algae Irish moss. It's only natural to get a little snackish sometimes and reach for any food or beverage you've just learned about. But what are your thoughts now? Will you still buy these items? Has any...
Listen, man, like I said in the beginning, don't shoot the messenger. All I'm saying is just make yourself aware so you can manage some of these things that we probably overly indulge in. All right? That's just the thing. Just making you aware, bro. That's it. You know what I mean? No harm, no foul. Y'all get at me in the comment section and let me know what you thought of this video. Whoa. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.